So for our class today, we'll use our 2 blocks, a blanket or 2, and our massage ball, which I said last week and we never used it. So we are using it today. You can have a strap if you want one for any variations you might take of a pose. I don't think we'll be using it for warm-ups today, but you can have it. And as always, a chair nearby if you would like to have that as part of your practice. I think that's it. So we're going to start seated wherever you want to be. And just take a couple of breaths. Let out all the moments that came before this one, this very moment where you're sitting on your mat or in your space in this community. And just let yourself arrive. So last week we prayed with our bodies. We embodied the Nissin Beholm. I had said it was the first 5 prayers in our siddur. It was actually like the middle of the prayers. Today we're going to look at the first 5 prayers of this in the siddur and work to understand those more deeply within our body and in the context of our lives. So I can't remember if everybody that's here now was there last week, but I'm going to go ahead and read the little introduction to the Nissin Beholm, the prayer for daily miracles. These morning blessings evoke wonder at awakening to physical life. We open our eyes, clothe our bodies, and walk again with purpose, which is what we did last week, right? Talked about that last week. Spiritual life also. We are created in God's image. We are free human beings. And we celebrate the joy and destiny of our people, Israel. I think these blessings are very universal, whether some of them speak to being Jewish in particular, but so many of them just speak to being human. And these first 5 blessings move in a really particular order that makes a lot of sense. So we wake up in the morning, we awaken. We distinguish day from night. So, as the sun starts to rise, we start to sense that the day has arrived. So we awaken. And then we open the eyes of the blind, right? We open our eyes. We take in the world around us. We look at whatever there is to see. I like to look at my puppy, my husband, and then go find my cup of coffee. I like to look at my cup of coffee. And then we move into freeing the captive. So this idea of the ability to stretch. So we get up, we can move. We can actually, stretch in our beds before we get out of bed. We can take a deep breath and open our arms and just get all those stretches out, like really kind of return our awareness to our bodies. And then one of my favorites, the blessing, Zokef Kefufim, who lifts up the fallen. Which actually means to go from bent to straight, or to rise to a new day. But the literal meaning is to going from bent to straight, which is, I think, really cool, because we do a lot of going from bent to straight in yoga. And I also think about the perception of going in our thought patterns, like going from bent thinking, like kind of crooked thinking, to straight thinking, like clear thinking, right? So a little muddled thinking to clear thinking. For me, I go from the physical into more maybe of the emotional or spiritual realm with that, which you could do on most of all of these, I think. So we're just going to work with these first 5 blessings. We're going to work with the awakening prayer. So we'll start with that. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, Asher natan l'sachvirina lahavkin ben yom uven laila, who has given the mind the ability to distinguish day from night. So from your seated position or wherever you are, you can leave your eyes open if you want or close them. And sensing that light that surrounds you, the morning light, the light of, if you have a lamp on nearby, just really sensing the light. Acknowledging that we have moved from evening, from nighttime to daytime. And the gratitude for having another day to wake up to. Our next blessing is for opening the eyes of the blind. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam pokeach ivrim, who opens the eyes of the blind for vision. So let's give our eyes some love and some exercise and some movement. So I'm going to have you bring your thumb out in front of you and just draw a square. As you draw a square, try not to move your head, just follow your thumb with your eyes and draw a nice big square, as big as you can. And then after you draw your square, I want you to draw an X inside of that square from one corner to the next. Draw your X. And then whatever side you started with before, start on the other side. So draw another X, moving just the eyes if possible. Good. And then rub your hands together. And just cup your hands over your eyes, so blocking out the light for just a moment. Breathe into the space behind your eyes, giving thanks that we have vision. Not everybody has vision. So if we have vision, even if it's not 100%, we can give thanks for that which we can perceive through the eyes. And remembering too that opening the eyes of the blind can also mean a spiritual opening of seeing more clearly with the heart. And then relax your hands. We're going to move into our warm-ups. And before we do, we'll say our blessing. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam matir asurim, who frees the captive, for the ability to stretch. So keeping this blessing in particular in mind as we move our body, as we stretch, and we free ourselves from anything that's tight or holding on or feeling containing or limiting to us. So let's do some shoulder circles. So hands on top of the shoulders, and then like you have little chicken wings, you're just gonna make big circles with your elbows. Bringing nice deep breaths to this movement, reversing your circles. Good. We're going to inhale, reach up. Exhale, take a twist. Hands come down. Inhale, return to center. Exhale, twist to the other side. Do this a few more times, keeping the belly engaged to support your lower back. Last time, reach up. And exhale, hands to your heart. You can bring your hands to your knees or thighs and just start to stir the upper body around. What do you notice as you do this movement? Reverse your stirring. Good. Pause at center and reach your right arm up. Reach nice and tall as you root down through your sits bones, and just take a little side bend. Breathe into that rib cage and then change sides. Inhale, reach and root down at the same time. Good. Let's do one more set. On your own. Good, and release. If you have something under your seat, you can go ahead and remove it. We're going to do some cat-cows and then some exercises for the muscles that are line our rib cage, which helps with posture. Your blocks can be here in case your wrists get tired. So I'll just keep them here. And we'll start with our cat-cow. Those knees are directly under the hips and wrists are under the shoulders, and just rounding until you feel a stretch, until you feel like it's enough. And then inhaling, arching the back, gazing up. Matir Asurim, who frees the captive, feeling the vertebrae, even though they're interconnected, feel them, sense them as individual, working together, but definitely their own individual selves. And if you slow your movement down, you can sense or try to sense that each vertebrae is having its own moment, its own special moment in time to articulate. Maybe bringing in some other movements that feel good to you. Some side bending, hip circles. Good. So the sternum drop is what I'm calling it. We can do it, I'll demo it with straight arms, and then I'll demo it with forearms on the block as well. So the idea is that the lower arms don't move, and we start to let the chest and breastbone and ribs sink toward the floor. So to do that, your shoulder blades are going to start to come together. Keep your belly engaged. So there's really not a lot of movement in the lower back if possible. We're just really isolating the the chest and the upper back. And then you're going to press into the mat like you're trying to press the mat away from you, and spread those shoulder blades. So the elbows really aren't bending at all if possible. You're just sliding, think of sliding your shoulder blades across your ribs on the back, and then pressing and sinking. With the blocks, my forearms are on the blocks, still lined up, my elbows are still lined up under my shoulders, and I'm still doing the movement. I'm sinking the chest down, and then I'm pressing into the blocks to spread my shoulder blades apart. Keep your belly engaged, all of you. This really builds heat in the body, in my opinion. Good, and we only need a few. So go ahead and take a break from that. You can sit back and do some shoulder circles. We're going to return to all fours, either using forearms on blocks or hands on the mat. And we'll extend the right leg back behind. And just pull the navel in and square your hip bones toward the mat. And just do little lifts and lowers. Just really warming up the gluteal muscles and hamstrings. This is a small movement just to warm up the tissue. And then next time you lift your leg, then just bend your knee so your heel comes to your buns. And then extend the leg and then tap your toes to the mat. We'll do two more. Lift, bend the knee, squeeze an imaginary cloth or rolled towel. Squeeze a rolled towel between your calf and your thigh. the back of your thigh, and straighten the leg and tap down. Re-engage your core, lift up one more time, bend, squeeze, straighten, and release. Take a little child's pose if you need to. And then we'll warm up the other side. Extend the left leg. Toes are on the mat to start. Pull the belly in. Lift your toes up off the floor. Hold that. And then lift and lower just a couple of times. Just saying good morning to your buns and your hamstrings. Good. Lift the leg, bend the knee, squeeze your heel toward your glute. Extend the leg and then tap the floor with your toes. 2 more times. Lift, bend, squeeze, extend the leg, tap down. 1 more time. Lift, squeeze, extend that leg and tap down. Good. And then take a little child's pose. Okay, our next exercise, it's a warm-up, but it's an exercise, that's for sure. So you want to have your blocks nearby, 1 or 2 blocks is fine, at the top of your mat. We're going to come into a side plank. So you can have yourself in tabletop to start, and then bring your left hand to the center of the mat. You're looking straight down at your left hand. And then extend your right leg again. It's on the floor, the right foot is on the floor. And just open up your hips. So open up your hips to the side, to the long edge of your mat. Now if this is hard on the wrist, which it can be, you add a block or 2. You can even use your fingertips. Because really the idea isn't to dump all your weight into your hand. It's to use your oblique muscles here, your nice strong core. And this could be enough just like this. The lower leg or the bent knee the lower leg is going to kick out behind you for a little bit of a extra support. You could stay like this, or you can start to lift the right leg up. So we're using those smaller glute muscles, and you can lower and lift. Yes, good. And then if it feels like you want to try this, no obligation, maybe lift your right arm. So we're actually in half moon pose without standing, or just in a kneeling half moon pose or a side plank. Good. Bring your hand to your hip if it was up, and then bend your knee and release. Just come out of that nice and slow. Very good. So let's go to the other side. Tabletop to start. Shift that right hand to the middle of your mat and then just open up those hips. So the left foot is on the floor to start. Engage the belly, hips are facing forward, and start to lift the leg. Good, maybe lift a couple of times. Maybe lifting the left arm. Nice. And just because I offer it doesn't mean you have to do it or try it. It's just an offering. Take a breath and release. Come on down. And then do whatever release you need to do. Maybe it's a tail wag, maybe it's another child's pose. Just releasing, letting that go. Okay, we are going to come to standing with, we're going to use our massage ball. So we're going to free up the fascia in the feet. So work with just choose a foot, whatever foot you want to start with. And we're going to start to massage the foot, bringing some malleability to the fascia that covers the muscles. So the fascia on the foot, it actually connects to the whole back of the body up into our forehead. So if you have tight feet, it's actually pulling your whole back of your body even into the front of the head area. That's just how the fascia runs. So you're doing a lot by freeing the foot, you're freeing the rest of the body. Good. Let's switch to the other foot. And keep your breath flowing. Go ahead and place the ball off to the side. Have your blocks nearby in front of your feet. We're going to do some half sun salutations. This is where the chair, if you prefer to not bend over as far, you can use the seat of your chair as a place to land. We're going to have the feet hip width apart. Inhale and reach up. Good. Exhale, dive forward with a flat back. If your knees need to bend, that's totally fine. Let yourself hang. Let your chest rest near your thighs. Let your neck go. Bringing to mind and heart, so Kef Kefufim, we're moving from bent to straight. We'll start halfway. So inhale, come halfway up, straighten that back. And then go ahead and exhale, come all the way up, straightening all the way up. And hands to the heart. Good, let's do that again. Inhale, reach up. And exhale, dive forward. Release. Take a breath here in this bent shape. Engage your belly, so pull that in and start to come halfway up. And then all the way up. Hands overhead. Good. And then go ahead and lean to one side with your palms together. Stretch the side body. Come up and over to the other side. Good. And release. Do some big shoulder circles. We're going to move through our standing poses now. So the right leg, we're going to go into warrior two. So the right foot's going to be at the front of the mat first. Keep a block or two just next to your right foot, just in case you need it, and also the seat of your chair. Okay, so we're going to take our warrior two. The front heel lines up with the back arch, gazing over the right hand. You can kind of pulse gently in and out of this, just getting some exercise for that front thigh. Pull the belly in. Drop the shoulders down away from the ears and bring the tips of the shoulder blades together. Good. Virabhadrasana 2. From here, side angle. So bring your right arm inside the right thigh and the left arm up or over your head. Press your knee toward your smaller toes so that it's not caving in. Good. Side angle. So this is where we go to our half moon pose. So we can take our time with this. So you might come up and gaze at where you are going to land. So for me, I'm going to use my chair. Your front foot's going to stay right where it is. And then you're going to do just what you did on the mat kneeling. You're going to start to open your hips to the side, the long edge of your mat, and lift your leg. It's quite the balance pose. Anything anything in between is great. So if you use the back of your chair, which I have too far away from me, but you can hold the back of your chair and also lift your leg. It doesn't have to be this huge momentous movement, because all the momentous stuff is happening internally, especially as you breathe. Good. Go ahead and come out of that. Whew, okay. And open your legs really wide with the toes pointed out to the sides just a little bit, and open up your arms, open your heart, expand the chest, breathe, gazing up, so embodying Matir Asurim, feeling the sense of freedom. Good. And then turn your toes in, so the feet stay wide, toes turn inward, and hinge at the hips and take your forward fold to your Prasarita Padottanasana. You can use your blocks to land your head somewhere on the blocks, or you can let yourself hang. Just releasing that work on the right side. Good, so we're going to start to come up from the bent over position to straight, so Kef Kefufim. We're going to come up nice and slow. And we'll get ready for the second side. So for me, I'm going to move my chair. Our left foot's going to be our lead foot, lining up the front heel to the back arch. Coming into your warrior two. Finding your breath, breathing, if you're able to breathe in and out of your nose, softly trying that. Pull the belly in and start to take your side angle pose. Left arm inside the left leg. Now we're really heavily in the upper body here and the front of the body, so remember that you have a back leg that's supporting you. So squeeze the back leg muscle, press the outer edge of your foot into the mat. Breathe here. Good. Now pull the belly in, rise back up. Just gather your wits about you, kind of check where you think you're going to land. You might need to move back, like I'm going to move back a little bit. And when you're ready, you're going to step forward onto that left foot, lift the right leg, and play with opening the hips to the long edge of the mat. Pull your belly in, maybe lift your hand up. You could keep it on your waist as well. Good. And slowly coming out of the side. Right back into our star pose. So that's nice, big, wide legs with the toes pointed out. Chest expanded, beautiful. Open up your palms. Gaze up, breathe. Good. We're going to turn the toes out a little bit more so we can come into a squat. Make sure your knees don't have any tweaking pains or shooting pains or anything. So just want to have your knees properly aligned toward those small toes. In a squat here, we're going to take a hara breath. So reach up, okay, breathe in, and then let it out at your own pace. Let's do two more. Good. Pause here with the palms up. And you can keep a soft bend in the knees. Bring your hands together at your heart. We'll reach one arm up and one arm down, like you're just reaching for the heavens and the earth, just reaching for both. And then bring your hands back together, nice and slow. Breathing in as we extend and reach in opposite directions, and exhaling as the hands come together. Maybe even imagining that you are pushing away anything that gets in the way of your sense of freedom. Maybe clearing some space, some boundaries to make room for what is really important. Let this be your last one. As you complete, let your hands rest at your heart. Breathe. You can walk your feet together. So we're going to practice tree pose. And tree pose is really dependent upon our vision. So vision is a really key player in being able to balance. So we're going to practice tree pose with gratitude for our vision, for our ability to see things, to put things into perspective. So we'll start with the right leg, or the left leg is our standing leg. So squeezing that leg and bringing that right foot somewhere inside your leg. Again, chair is nearby if you need it, or something stable. And branches out helps with balance as well, a counterbalance, or you can have your hands at your heart. So gazing at something, using the sight to really laser focus in on something that's not moving. Knowing that if you were to close your eyes right now, it would not be the same experience. Pull the belly in, let the shoulders rise up. And back and down. Good, release this side. And get ready for the second side. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam pokeach ivrim, who opens the eyes of the blind. And softly letting yourself slide out of this pose, shake out your legs. If you have a chair, you're welcome to keep it nearby. There's a couple of things you could use it for. We're going to come to seated. And we're going to practice Zokef Kefufim from a seated position, moving from bent over to straight. So for this, because it's an intense back stretch and leg stretch, I'll invite you to sit on the edge of your blanket. This is where a second blanket sometimes comes into play. You can, if you feel like you need a little support under your knees just to keep them slightly bent, you can always roll a blanket or a towel under your knees. Another option is to use blocks. So I'll do that just as an example, just right behind the thighs before the soft part of the back of the knee, so it doesn't dig into there. Then we use our strap. Oh yeah, we are using our strap. We're going to use our strap and just hook it around the feet. And press your pelvic bowl forward. So tip your hips forward to start, and then start to hinge at your hip crease and come forward. You can use your straps to hold on to, keeping the back as straight as possible. And then once you hit your edge there, you're welcome to drop your head and round your back. This is Paschimottanasana, stretching the whole back body. So I'd like you to pull in your belly and use your hands to press into the floor and lift yourself up. Good. So let's go back into our forward fold. Use your hands to press you back up. And then with your hands by your sides or even behind you a little bit, with your fingertips on the floor, we're just going to press into the floor, stretch through the chest, and gaze up. For staff pose. Good. The second stretch for our legs, we're going to just do one leg at a time. So you can stay on your little elevated pillow or towel or anything that you're sitting on. And you've got two options here. One, this is for if you have a little bit of lower back sensitivity. I would recommend we're going to have the left leg straight and the strap around the left foot, and just keep it straight, coming right out of your hip there, like just straight ahead. And then the right foot's going to come inside the leg, just kind of like our tree pose. So if you were sitting and in tree pose with the bottom of the body, and then you'll hinge forward again. The other way, if you're looking for a little bit more of a lower back stretch on the right side, you would take the left leg out to the side a bit, and then you would turn your waist, just the waist, like your belly button is pointing towards your kneecap, and then you would do that stretch. So choose which one feels the most beneficial for you today. And these are deep stretches, so take it slow and be really gentle with yourself. It doesn't matter how far you go. It only matters that you're breathing and bringing mindfulness to the movement. Again, we're going to use the hands to press up, and then we'll change sides. That right leg will extend either straight out in front of you, or off to the side, out to the side. And the left foot still comes inside of the right thigh or leg, wherever it lands. Contract your abdominal muscles, press into your hands to lift up. We'll extend both legs out and take another staff pose, so reaching back behind, open the chest, press into the fingertips, grow your spine nice and tall, and then gaze up. Good. For our Vatakanasana or bound angle pose, we're going to bring our feet together. And if you're on an elevated something behind you, you can keep it still. It's totally fine. The use of our blocks could be that we wedge them under the knees to take a little pressure off those inner thighs, or you can stack your blocks and lean forward and let your blocks catch your forehead. And there's lots of ways you can stack them to find a good height. So these forward folds support introspection, which is a form of seeing, looking within, looking inside, opening the eyes of the blind. Become aware of your core, and then press into your hands and rise up. So just to mention the chair, so if ever you're practicing at home on your own and you want to do something like that, but your back is really sore or something's going on with it, you can use the chair as a way to catch you as well. You can use it at whatever height helps to help guide you into a stretch. I have my legs crossed, but when you're in Vatakanasana, the chair is really fantastic. It's very underrated. So we're going to come onto our backs and have a block. And we're going to come into our supported bridge, and we'll just pause there before we bring the legs up. Unless you're just really dying to do that, you can go right into that. But we'll stop in supported bridge if you wish. Slide the block under your hips. We did lots and lots of forward folds there, so this is a nice gentle counter pose to open up the front of the body. You can let your hands rest wherever feels comfortable for you. Feel free to stay in supported bridge, or if you'd like a little more of an inversion, you can bring your legs up. This is a great pose for using a bolster. So I don't demo with a bolster because not everybody has one, but they're really worth the investment. If you go online, you can search for yoga bolsters, and they're soft. They're like big round pillows. They're really firm, but they're soft in that they don't have these hard edges like a block does. And you could put a bolster under your hips instead of a block. And the bolsters are also very good for creating variations of poses to make poses more accessible. So just a little plug for bolsters. I don't have like a company I recommend or anything, but a bigger bolster, not one of the little tiny ones, a big bolster. Take another couple of deep breaths here, just letting that circulation move toward the heart and the lungs. And then slowly bend your knees, bring them towards your chest, and slowly return to your supported bridge. And then press into those feet and slide that block out and do what feels good for your body. Is it a squeeze? This is a rock and roll side to side. Maybe happy baby. And then from whatever you're doing now, you'll move into a twist. So just choosing which side you want to bring your knees over to and adjusting your lower back as needed. So scooting the lower back over or bringing a block under the knees or between the knees. Make sure the twist feels supportive and comfortable. And then possibly gazing in the opposite direction of your knees where they're pointed. You're just going to look over the other shoulder. And then pull in on the belly, bring the knees back up and switch over to the other side. Creating some freedom in the lower back. Gratitude to the spine for its ability to rotate. Thinking of all the things you're able to do on a daily basis that require you to rotate your spine. Or turn your neck, twist at your lower body. Engage your lower belly, come back up to center. And then begin to set yourself up for Shavasana. If there's anything else that you need, like maybe you want a figure 4 stretch or something else, take a minute to do that. Take a minute or two to do that. And then just to let your body find a restful position. You could use your chair and lay your lower legs over your chair, or just set yourself up with your blankets. Take your time finding the most comfortable position that you can. The sound of the bell invite you to find some stillness. Scanning the body, just noticing any place that might still be holding on, maybe has some effort that could be released. Scanning through the larger muscle groups of your body, noticing if you could let go a little bit more. And noticing the smaller muscle groups as well. Maybe your throat, the muscles of your throat or of your face. Is there anything there that could release, that could be free of tension? Praise to you, Adonai, who opens the eyes of the blind, for letting us see with clarity a life divine, a life divine. Baruch atah Adonai, pokeach ivrim, pokeach ivrim. Baruch atah Adonai, pokeach ivrim, pokeach ivrim. Praise to you, Adonai, who opens the eyes of the blind, for letting us see with clarity a life divine, a life divine. Baruch atah Adonai, pokeach ivrim, pokeach ivrim. Baruch atah Adonai, pokeach ivrim, pokeach ivrim. In addition to these 5 blessings that we embodied this morning, I invite you to bring to your heart and mind your own blessings, their own prayers of gratitude for things in your life, for people in your life. May we not take those things for granted. Take a nice deep breath. Noticing if your eyes are closed, just noticing the light that is moving through the eyelids. This awakening to your senses. Let your body move any way that feels good for it so that you can start to return to an upright position. Take your time. And I invite you to join me in our final blessing, our universal blessing. May all beings be happy. May all beings be healthy. May all beings be free. May all beings have peace. And may all beings be loved. May it be so. Ken Yehi Ratzon. Shalom.